Good morning, everyone. Let's begin our satsang together with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, great masters of Kriya Yoga, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow before you all. Be with us today. Help us to feel your Om vibration within us, present in all things. Open our hearts that we may feel our natural devotion rising effortlessly to Thee. Help us to relax and cast aside all mental burdens, that we might feel your joyful presence all the more easily. Om, peace. Amen. Let's have a chant together. I chose a Whispers from Eternity, actually sort of unexpectedly, the title of which actually jumped at me in my meditation. And so after choosing that title and thinking about it a little bit, I thought that this chant would be a wonderful way to begin our discussion of the Whispers from Eternity, the prayer, and our topic for today, which is, Thou art the best bomb shelter. And even though that may sound a little bit intense and intimidating, let's begin with this very sweet chant to Divine Mother as the Om vibration. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. And let's take this again with all sincerity. And let's feel that we are offering our sincere heart's call to the spiritual eye. And in this very moment, ask that Divine Mother come to you and fill you with that Om vibration. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. Let's meditate briefly, feeling for that Om vibration within us. And continuing to meditate, listen to this Whispers from Eternity, which is Whispers number 5, Thou art the best bomb shelter. When clouds of devastating war rain fire and death, I will not forget that Thou, O God, are my best bomb shelter. In life and death, in disease, famine, pestilence, and poverty, I cling to Thee, who alone canst show me that in all dualities of life's experience, my soul remains unharmed. Thou wilt ever protect me and make me realize that I am immortal, untouched by the changing conditions of childhood, youth, and age, and of world conditions, whether in peace or upheaval. Om. Peace. Amen. Spirituality must be practical, and it must be directly applicable to your life to be useful. Spirituality, when it remains merely in the realm of platitudes, is actually not useful. Not only is it not useful, but it can be detrimental. It can cause harm. Because if it remains ever in the realm of platitudes, it can actually destroy faith rather than build it. If someone is going through a challenging, perhaps life-changing circumstance, and all they're ever told is that God's going to protect you, or that this is all a part of the divine plan, if it's too hard for them to see that as a reality, and if it's too hard for them to feel that as a reality, it may actually turn them away from that divine truth, instead of helping them to go deeper into it. And what we need is practicality. We need to actually experience that. We need to be able to feel that as our own. That's why Yogananda brought the science of spirituality, the science of religion. That's why Kriya Yoga and all these direct scientific techniques are so powerful on the spiritual path. That's why these Whispers from Eternity are so inspiring to me. It's because really their goal is to help you, impart to you a living experience from which you can build the foundation of your faith that is unshakable because you have witnessed it to be true for your own self. But taking it from just a concept to a faith, to a known truth, that is an interesting process, and one that we can all be working on, especially right now. It's interesting as an astrologer, I put that in air quotes because I feel like I'm one part or half part astrologer, but really more like mostly, devotee. And I just am like a radio dish for Master if he wants to talk to me through the medium of that science. But what's interesting is right now there's a lot of planets that are causing some tension and some karmic upheaval in a constellation that actually is very directly related to the Om technique of all things. And I've been listening, I heard some astrologers talk about the upheaval and the karmic tension that it could be creating, and I listened to all of that, and the only thing I could think was, but go into Om. If you can listen to Om, Om will protect you from all of this outer tumult, and it'll actually transform you in a deep inner way. But that's just a platitude. It means nothing until you actually taste that Om vibration. That's why I wanted to start with that chant. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. That if we really experience that, we experience the protective, vibratory power of Divine Mother, then like that Whispers from Eternity says, then we will know that God is our best bomb shelter when war reigns destruction in the circumstances of our lives. But how do we get there? And how can we practically expand our awareness of Divine Mother's love for us and our faith in that? Because just recently I've witnessed, I'm sort of, again, referencing my fascination with astrology, I'm sort of a few steps behind right now. Most people go to astrologers because they want you to predict what's going to happen, but I can't do that right now. But what I do notice is the stars and planets shift, and I go, I wonder what's going to happen. And then I start seeing circumstances suddenly pop up in other people's lives. And I can see, there's a cause and effect relationship here. There is, a karma being expressed that they are being susceptible towards. And I'm witnessing right now a number of people going through some very challenging karma that seems like it may take a long time to get through. And how can we face that kind of karma with courage? And yes, I could be talking about world conditions, but also I've noticed many individuals in the last week have come to me and have expressed that some challenge has arisen, and some challenge that may take endurance, perseverance, and a lot of energy to survive or to endure, and that they're not sure even about how to overcome it. And those sorts of circumstances can be very disheartening and can, like I said at the beginning, shake our faith in God. So how can we meet them so as to not shake that most precious of all qualities, faith in God? Well, by turning to God as our best bomb shelter, perhaps, and really making that a living reality, a divine experience. And again, it may sound like just a nicety, but it is a reality. There are many stories of deep devotees who, in moments of literal life and death crisis, who, if they were able to go into the Om vibration, remained protected by it. One of Yogananda's disciples was sailing, I believe, and out on the stormy seas of off the coast of the East Coast, and suddenly a great storm arose, and he felt that he was going to be surely capsized, and that it was well beyond his skill as a mariner to navigate. And so rather than continuing to try and struggle against a seemingly impossible foe, Mother Nature and all of her might, he retired inside the cabin of the ship, and he began to meditate on the Om vibration. And he just tried to stay in that Om, because Master said, Yogananda said, if you are in the Om vibration, nothing can touch you. And so he went into that Om vibration, and his ship was not capsized, but was suddenly brought to calmer waters, and he was able to navigate back to shore. And when he found his way home, as soon as he walked through the front door, the phone rang. And when he went and picked it up, it was Yogananda. And Yogananda said, well, we very nearly got wet, didn't we? That Yogananda had been helping him. Once he went into that Om vibration, Divine Mother is all creation, was able to still the storm of Maya and see her devotee home safe. And this is what will happen for all of us. And even if we're not entirely spiritually powerful enough to enter into that state consciously and at will, the devotee is protected if you are sincere. I didn't have such an overt experience, but once I found myself by my own stupidity. So there was no one at fault here except for myself, climbing a mountain I had absolutely no right to be climbing. My brother and I decided to climb it because we were tricked by a classic mountaineering error, which is called a false summit, that we thought the top of the mountain was an easy 25 or 30 foot scramble up a dried waterfall chute that looked fairly easy for us. But as we began climbing, we realized that because of the angle of the mountain, it was always further, always a little bit further. And one of the things about rock climbing is if you're just a little bit skilled, but not a lot skilled, like I am, it's quite a bit harder to climb down than it is to climb up. And so though we could climb up the first 25-foot hurdle, we felt that to try and climb backwards, we would fall. And so perpetually we kept committing to the next 25-foot hurdle, to the next 50-foot hurdle, and suddenly we became very much aware of the fact that we were climbing a very serious mountain and that we could die. I remember looking up and seeing the sheer face of the mountain and my brother climbing above me, and I prayed like I'd never prayed before. I was piercing the ether with my prayers, demanding that Divine Mother not let my brother fall. And I said, I don't mind if you make me fall, but don't make me watch my brother fall. I can't bear that. And I prayed so fiercely for about an hour straight. But I don't know that my faith was strong enough to have gathered the divine blessing that saw us through that experience. Because we did, we survived. We climbed that mountain, even though perhaps we really shouldn't have been able to, but we did. And but what was really amazing was when we descended off that mountain peak, off the safer exit route on the backside of the mountain, and found our way back to camp, and we bumped into my father who was waiting for us. My dad is a very intuitive man who's been on the spiritual path for his entire adult life, and he has a particular intuition about his family, which is very sweet and convenient. But we arrived back at camp, looking a little shell-shocked, and we said, we got in some trouble. And he said, I know, I could feel it. And what was incredible was we started our mountain climb at about 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and we summited the mountain at about 6 p.m. It took us about an hour. And before I said those time parameters, my dad said, at about 5 p.m., I suddenly felt Divine Mother tell me that you were in mortal peril and that you were in grave danger. And so he said he stood up and he walked in a circle and he chanted to God and he prayed on our behalf and he asked Divine Mother to see us through that trial and to mitigate whatever bad karma was attempting to challenge us. And then he said he did that for an hour straight with great concentration, and at 6 o'clock he suddenly felt in his heart that we had passed the trial and that we would live. And so when we came walking into camp later that afternoon, he wasn't even surprised to see us, because his heart had told him that we had lived. And that was an incredible experience on many fronts, but it taught me many things. One, the power of prayer from others, the power of intuition, the power of attunement, also not to be a moronic teenager. But it also really made me wonder how much grace was required to get me up over that mountain, and how much that saved me. And we can all learn to live in that vibration, but we have to go deep in our inner awareness to make it a reality, not just, like I said before, a platitude. And there are ways to do this. We can start in the little things. Start with this prayer, this whispers from eternity, even if your life isn't in maelstrom and mayhem, but start trying to feel that God is your protector. Start trying to feel that Divine Mother loves you and will hold you in her vibration, and then try to live in that vibration. Try to exist, try to breathe, try to love, try to act, try to will in that vibration. Live constantly in that Om vibration. And then especially in your sadhanas, go deep in that Om vibration until you taste it for yourself and know that you live not alone. Fill my body, fill my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. And believe me, this is something that with some effort, scientific effort and the grace of God, you can experience for yourself. I had Divine Mother and guardian angels and great souls protecting me many times through my youth, like that story I told. But then a little bit more recently, just a few years ago, when I was going through a personal Armageddon and was feeling very much alone and in the midst of destruction, and as Yogananda writes, when clouds of devastating war rain fire and death, that's what it felt like in my life. I'm a little bit of a dramatist, but maybe a melodramatist as well, but that's how it felt. And during that period of time, I tried to go very deep in communion with Divine Mother, with the Om vibration, because she is the protector, she's the comforter. And so for a period of about a month, I tried to practice the Om technique, which is a sacred technique of communing with that Om vibration, communing with Divine Mother in creation, within you. And if you don't know the Om technique, you can take a chant like the one we just did, or simply take the sacred mantra Om, 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 with constant repetition, trying to become engrossed in its vibration. But I found that when I practiced this Om technique, and I tried to go deep into it, as those of you who know this technique know to be possible, and then I tried to live in that Om vibration, I tried to hear Om, I tried to express Om in everything that I did, I suddenly felt, not that my life's troubles went away, but that I felt protected in the middle of that karma. Because sometimes we just have to walk through a challenging period of our life. Sometimes we have to walk through the valley in the shadow of death. But I will fear no evil, because thou art with me. But we have to know that thou art with me. We have to know that God is with us. Otherwise, it's nothing but sorrow and terror. You know, Yogananda said, this world without God is nothing but suffering and misery. But he said, with God, everything is joy. And so let's remember that. Let's remember to seek our shelter in God, even if that means that our circumstances don't change, perhaps immediately, but that our inner experience can change, that we can walk through hellfire with Divine Mother and the Masters on either side of us. And so let's read this Whispers from Eternity again. Thou art the best bomb shelter. And this doesn't have to be literal. You know, this isn't a prayer that we should only take if we were, you know, in England during the bombing of London in World War II. But this can be a metaphor for when you feel that the clouds of devastating war rain fire and death in a metaphorical sense in your life. This is just how to go inside, to take shelter from tumultuous outward karma. So let's read this together. And let's, more than that, let's pray this together. And let's go inside briefly, still your heart, still your mind. And let's try and contact that ever-present vibratory power of Divine Mother present in every atom of creation. And feel that this is a dialogue. This is not an empty prayer to an unlistening universe, but this is you telling Divine Mother who loves you that you are placing your faith in her, that you are depending upon her to come and protect you. When clouds of devastating war rain fire and death, I will not forget that thou, O God, are my best bomb shelter. In life and death, in disease, famine, pestilence, and poverty, I cling to thee who alone can show me that in all dualities of life's experience, my soul remains unharmed. Thou wilt ever protect me and make me realize that I am immortal, untouched by the changing conditions of childhood, youth, and age, and of world conditions, whether in peace or upheaval. I am immortal. As Yogananda said in his prayer poem, God, 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 when worries howl at me, I will drown their noises, loudly chanting, God, God, God. And so let's remember not to comfort ourselves, not to comfort others in this period of our karmic evolution as a human race with a platitude. We can't tell people who are suffering that it's all a part of God's plan unless they can feel that that's the truth. And so if you want to help other people live with more faith, learn to live with more faith yourself. Develop that magnetism. Understand that to be your reality. Live in this vibration with great power. And simply by that magnetism, you'll be able to uplift others out of the mire of their own suffering and into that presence of Divine Mother. Because that's what spiritual magnetism can do. It's very interesting to remember that if you want to help others, cultivate first your connection with God. If you want to be a good friend, cultivate first that contact with God. Because it's through that contact that you will express a divine and therefore a transformative and protective magnetism.